Hello, friends, and welcome to another episode of Just Another Kill Team podcast, connecting Kill Team communities across the globe. And this week we are continuing with the World Champ theme. We've got Julio and Sawyer today. Welcome.
Hi.
Hi, guys. Thanks for the invitation.
Yeah, we're happy to have you guys. Playing with you guys at World Championships and getting to hang out. I didn't actually get to play with either of you, but hanging out with you, at the end of the event, at the end of the night, grabbing pizza, beer. It was very nice to just mingle with all the other regions, and I think that was a big reason. It's a big part of why we do this podcast in the first place.
Yeah, it was amazing to getting to know everyone.
Yeah, that night we stay at 2 a.m. I believe.
Yeah, that was a crazy, the Adrian Orion end of Saturday night, deep into 2 a.m. game. That was a real crazy one for everyone to see.
Yes.
And we wanted to make sure that our Compendium fans were well fed, because Sawyer's out here, the only Compendium player at the World Champs on Demons, with actually a pretty good record, I think, all told. And then Julio, you did quite well on Intercession Squad. I think you even gave Ace a big run for his money, right?
Yes, it was a pretty close game. He won. He defeated me just one point. So, yeah, Intercession almost got him. But yeah. Maybe next year. The most important thing. It was a fun. Yeah. I want to add one thing to Sawyer for his title. He's the number one in Peru with Demons.
All right, number one in Peru. Number one Compendium player and best and best Chaos and Compendium player at the World Championships, right, Sawyer?
Yeah, it's quite the accolade of titles for the.
Yeah, before we get into the more serious Kill Team stuff and the Peruvian community stuff, what have you guys been up to in your day-to-day lives?
Okay, I'm going first. Okay.
Yeah, go for it, Julio.
Yes, I'm a father, so my time goes between be with my family, stay with my kids, and of course the working staff to let me buy that many miniatures. So yeah, that's my daily basis. So
from your kids to your plastic kids.
Yes, and I do a little CrossFit. That's why I have my T-shirt for a CrossFit game. So
nice.
Yes, I do a little sports.
A little bit of everything.
Right. Yeah.
How about you, Sawyer?
In my case, I'm working marketing, and after Atlanta, it's been quite an issue to get back to the routine. The waking up, going to work, because we were kind of 4 days just playing Kill Team, and I kind of miss that really. But yeah, currently, I've been tending to my work duties and now planning more events for the Peruvian and perhaps Latin American Kill Team community if everything aligns and everything goes well.
Nice.
Yeah.
Are you guys planning to try to get a WTC team out?
Yeah, it will be the goal, right?
Yeah,
nice.
We are.
How about you, Jason? What have you been up to since last time?
I've kind of just been getting back in the swing of things with work, as I've got one more little push that things are going to get busy, and we've made a couple of rearrangements with the local Kill Team club to go back to the central store and see if we can kind of get people all rallied into one spot again, which is off to a decent start. What about you, Travis?
I actually had a fun New York experience. There's a guy who does a burger show on YouTube, George Motz. He travels around the US and does different burger recipes, and I've been watching him on YouTube, and he happened to have a pop-up in New York, so I stopped by and grabbed a double onion smash burger. So his thing is he slices his onions paper thin, and then he makes a smash burger that steams the onions inside the burger patty. Pretty good. So that was a nice little thing to do, just a random New York thing. We're just it's right there. Might as well. Yeah.
I haven't eaten burger yet, so all of a sudden I'm hungry.
Yeah.
Yeah, burgers are great. Easy to do, too. Especially smash burgers. I don't know if the trend has caught on in Latin America, but it's a big thing out here in New York nowadays.
We have, I don't know how to say it, a new restaurant who say he have the New York recipe, so maybe going to try out that. It's near home, so
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because in Atlanta we were lucky to find that pizza place. It was amazing. I don't know if it's one of the best pizza around, but Stoner's Pizza it was, right?
Yes,
Yeah. Stoner's Pizza. Hilarious. A hilarious pizza name. You know, I'm like a pizza snob now because I live in New York, but it was good at the end of the night. It was like, oh man, I haven't eaten like all of Saturday. It was just like we're deep into the middle of the night watching this crazy 4-hour game of Gellerpox versus Commandos. So it was just nice to have a little backup.
Yeah, you were playing Magic, so pizza, Magic, and beer. Nice combination for weight.
Yeah, no, it was great.
A 5-hour game.
I think the guy from Seattle, Matt Wilhelm, he came in with Intercession Squad. Didn't do quite as well as you, Julio, but he had all 4 of the 40k commander decks, and that was a nice little way to like waste the time as we were letting the sweaty players finish up their games, because all of us in the world's bracket were like, we've been done for hours. So it's nice.
And your commander game took less than that 40k. That game, right?
Yeah, for sure. I had like the Inquisition deck, and I just board wiped like 3 times, and then finally killed everyone.
It sounds like what Inquisition should do, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there was an Exterminatus that was, it's a good clean fun.
Yeah, it's pretty low accurate.
Yeah, but really, we're here to talk about Peruvian Kill Team and Latin America Kill Team, I guess, a little bit. But you two are both Peruvian players, if I remember correctly.
Yes.
Yeah. So, tell us a little bit about your community and how you guys have, worked your way up to getting to the World Championships, right? Because it was the pair of you representing the whole region, right?
Yeah,
the whole country.
Yeah.
Well, yes, but part of the regions. It's because Latin America is big.
Yeah, it's a huge area. Like I'm like a North American snob because I grew up here, so I only know so many things. My girlfriend, she traveled in Peru a little bit in college, so she's seen the country. But I actually have not been able to get a chance to go down. So yeah, tell us a little bit about it.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, well, Peruvian community is, of course, a bit, I'd say, a bit new. Kind of like just started getting into competitive events last November, but it has grown kind of like quickly and very kind of like self-organized. There aren't many local game stores that actually heavily promote gameplay or tournaments. Mostly it's been kind of like one team that first set up a tournament, and then other teams began to also organize events on local stores, on other kind of like, they rented some space and that kind of stuff. And it actually grew. And it's been amazing to, having witnessed it go from these small events, kind of like 12-person events, to our biggest that was kind of like 24, I believe, 24, 22 players for the qualifier. And yeah, it was great. And sadly, as many other countries do have the problem that some of the players that may have wanted to go to the WCW weren't able to secure a visa. That's actually the most troublesome thing to go. Aside from vacation or double fees, the visa was kind of like the hard requisite. And we actually had 3 silver tickets, the tickets that allow you to participate but do not cover your expenses. And well, only 2 out of 3 managed to get there, but hey, that's what else, right?
Yeah, I mean, actually, if all 3 of you had showed up, I would have just been there and I wouldn't have had to play. I would have just been, hanging out doing coverage. But instead, because unfortunately, someone couldn't make it in, I ended up filling. I was hoping that everyone from your region or from Peru could have made it in, because then I could have just hung out and done coverage and recorded like little interviews across the entire event.
Well, you got the best Pathfinders, right?
Yes, I got best in faction as the only Pathfinder. Let's go.
That's great.
They're brave enough to show up. That's the important part.
Harder than it sounds, I guess.
Yes.
So Julio, are you in the same? Do you play in the same store as Sawyer, or do you guys play in like different parts of Peru?
No, we play in the same city. Almost all the players are from Lima, Peru, the capital city. In fact, we are both on the same team. Yeah. We don't play much together, but we have a few practices on our own. Sawyer versus me. We have a very nice team right now. We are the most ranked team on Peru. I don't know how to say, the better ranked.
The top ranked team in Peru by
ITC,
by ITC points. Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
How many teams do you guys have then?
In Peru are like officially or or sign it like 20, but officially in the competitive matter 4 or 5, because one changed name and become another one. It's a kind of messy.
Yeah. I mean, you always gotta be worried. You always gotta be careful about how you're actually typing things in.
Yeah, that's the problem.
Yeah, and they actually kind of like named themselves the Warhammers, and they had like 3 A's. And it was an issue because in one of the tournaments that we hosted, kind of like one of them mistyped something, and they were like, "Hey, why didn't you put him as us?" And it messed up the ranking, and yeah, it was quite a bit of a drama.
It's a total mess. Yeah, but it's funny because how Javier Sawyer said it before. The Peruvian community is pretty, I don't know how to say, young, because we start playing like in November last year.
A little bit less than a year, yeah.
Yeah, and competitively, we have signed it like 40 plus people, but actively there are no more than 13. So yeah, it's hard to have big tournaments, but we have managed to perform a kind of system that we can, I don't know, support each other between different teams. So almost any team do a tournament by himself in a matter of way. I don't know how to say it exactly, but we support each other. So if the other team organize a tournament, Sawyer judge the tournament, become the judge from the tournament. If we do a compendium tournament, we have logistics support from another team. Exactly was the Warhammer. They always help us in a compendium tournament. In matter of fact, we're going to have a compendium tournament on this month, around half of the December, between half of December. Okay, so that's a Peruvian formula. Sorry.
Yeah, how often do you do tournaments, and like when you do, how often is it compendium only?
We try to organize once per month the regular Kill Team, and compendio is like every 2 months. It's more than that. It's more because of the logistics than for the people, because we don't have that many stores or free places to run the tournament, and that makes it more difficult to have a monthly compendium tournament. But because we always have like between 12 and 18 people signed for that compendium team, so I believe it's nice.
It's a good number. I assume that you have to take Sawyer off of Chaos Daemons because he just destroys everyone if it's playing compendium.
I lost the compendium. Yeah. I was on a winning streak and actually lost that one. Yeah.
What was the final? Who took the crown at the last compendium from you, Sawyer?
Julio won.
Would you play it? What beat Chaos Daemons?
I didn't.
It was Tyranids. It was Tyranids. Yeah. Tyranids got me.
It wasn't me who defeated him. Luckily, I believe I played that guy, but the guy who defeated Sawyer was playing with High Fleet Tyranids. Yeah.
Yeah.
They got a warrior into your backline, had the minus attacks, weapon attacks.
Gene Stealers shooting at 2+, it's strong.
Okay, all right, nice.
Yeah, it was hard. It was a hard match. The guy who defeated him, I believe he was third on the tournament. So it was. Yeah.
I have to ask because one of our Patreon supporters is Matt from New York. He loves compendium teams. It sounds like you guys play a lot of compendium. What is like the tier list in Peru for compendium teams?
Well,
I'd say
or like top 3. Let's go top 3 just to So it's good. It's good for podcasts because I think if we did a whole tier list, it would just be like a mess.
The whole episode.
Yeah.
I'd say top three teams would be Talons, Custodies, definitely Demons, and well, most likely Deathwatch. Deathwatch as a well. If you have to take these three teams against the open field of bespoke teams, they have the best performance. But Tyranids do perform well within the compendium meta.
Yes, for that, some more information about Compendium. Deathwatch reached the 5th place in our Golden Ticket tournament. So you almost got another Compendium team.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I've been under the impression that Deathwatch is basically almost unplayable just because the cool operatives only have 11 wounds. So it's like very, very hard to actually stay alive against, like Vetguard, for example. It's just like a miserable time running away.
Yeah, they are glass cannons, but 3 plasmas. Well,
that's true. Yeah. They got a lot of plasmas. They've got fun extra weapons, and all of the weapon profiles do have their uses. So if you can keep your 11 wounds alive and save your CP for They Shall Know No Fear, maybe it works.
Yeah.
It can get there. Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah. All right. Well, I'm sure this will send Matt into another hole where he's going to try to make Deathwatch work at the next Brooklyn Monthly. So we'll see how that goes.
Before Sawyer, we have before into the ranking, it was a Custody who was always second or third in almost every tournament and almost every bespoke tournament before the ranking starts. That's why we have so much data. But
Custodies are definitely one of the best compendium teams, especially if you play in a mixed field, because just like on Cults on In the Dark, they have free matchups on In the Dark.
I'm going to try to push that guy to the top. So
Vetguard are great. I'm sure you'll be able to figure it out. They're very powerful and they've been good for a long time.
Yeah.
Death Guard. You said Death Guard?
Death Guard. Yes, I was talking about Nargal. No, Death Guard, not Deathwatch.
Oh, Death Guard, not. Oh man, I totally missed that. Okay.
No, I want to try to push Death Guard. Yeah, and the Nargal guys to.
Okay. All right.
Top 5.
All right. So with Death Guard, what is one operative or one combo that's a must take?
Whoa. Okay, I like combos. I don't know how to say combos. I play it strangely forward, like there were an intercession team. So I don't know how to say it. I like to play them as a bunker. I don't know. They are slow, okay, but they can hold the ground so effectively that my recommendation, if you play Death Guard, try to form like a L in the map and fight in that corner, and then in a turn 3 or 4, push, because almost anything can move you from that spot. You have 2 plasmas. Try to have the leader with plasma and the claw. It almost can kill everything. So, and you have 2 plasmas, a guy who can kill almost everything in melee and survive, and 3 warriors the icon and 2 warriors that doesn't look so menace, but with a ploy that make everyone sick around them. You can use them like a melee wall and start to smash everything. So that's my I don't know, strategic. I don't have a combo really, but it's a nice strategy. It works for me.
Yeah, I think there's like different layers, right? There's like the niche tactics that we'll get into later, and then there's the strategic layer. So if you look at a team like Pathfinders that have Cao Yan and Mont Ka as like their strategic ploy abilities, it definitely pushes your overall game plan in a certain direction, where it's like on turn 2, I need to be in position where every model can do something gross. Or on the last podcast when we talked to Alexa, he was talking about how on Corsairs, his goal is to push 8 points over the first 2 turns and then just barely make it by on Flawless Raid for the end of the game. So those are like strategic things, but they have nothing to do with like the moment-to-moment gameplay of like, all right, I'm going to choose to shoot someone here. It's really like, how do you position your teams? And I think that Death Guard thing of having an L shape, like maybe in the middle of the map where you're strong on 2 ends, and then at 3 and 4, hopefully you've only lost 1 model and you can flip the script and push out. That seems like a good place to go.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, I like that. That's a fun little insight there. Well, on a similar note, we've got the Operative Showdown.
Operative Showdown.
And the Operative Showdown this week is going to be Chaos Demons, comparing the different kinds of Chaos Demons, just kind of like who's the best for what matchups. Yeah, so like Bloodletters versus Demonettes versus Plague Bearers, the use case for the horrors.
And really, Sawyer, this one is all you because I got nothing for demons. I have no strong opinions about anything. I've watched Plague Bearers dump on commandos, but that's really all I've seen.
So when I was getting into Kill Team, I was trying to get more information about demons, and I saw that everyone kind of like recommended playing like 12 love letters, and all most content creators kind of like said, okay, you put 12 love letters on Into the Dark, and you'll probably get them, and that was most of the recommendations. But I kind of like began wanting to play something Slaneshi. And there are not really, any Slanesh factions aside from Slanesh legionaries. So I kind of like did my own deep dive on the rules, and well, found out that actually demons are really, really good. And you can actually bring five fire teams to the demons roster. I propose that the most competitive version is to bring pink horrors, and mostly bring pink horrors on all games, and bring demonettes as your go-to melee, companion for the horrors, and add bloodletters as your situational pick. This is mostly because demonettes have this ploy that grants them a free dash. It's called Quicksilver Swift, and if you couple that up with the horn, all demons have the horn to add +1 to their movement. Now you have a demonette that can actually move in total 10 inches and still have 1 APL left to take on points. So this allows you to steal points on your opponent's end, because you also have like this icon bearer that counts as 3 APL. So let's say an opponent makes a recon dash and moves their guardsmen off to a very far off point, mostly on your side. You can still use your icon bearer to go and snatch that point at the end of the round without much of a concept. So yeah, demonettes are very good for scoring, and horrors are pretty good in pretty much every single scenario. You have them, and you can use this equipment called Trinket of Flux to add 1 to their damage, to both of their damage profiles, and you have 5 operatives who are shooting 4/5 at 3+, and you can even add ceaseless from a ploy. And that's a lot of shooting. That's a heavy bolter without heavy, with quite a lot of reroll with the ceaseless. And yeah, you have a pretty solid shooting profile on 5 operatives, and that can cover a lot of the board. And on top of that, the reason why you want to have horrors in most scenarios is because they have this key ploy, which I believe is the best ploy the team has, which is called a split. So it allows for 1 pink horror to be split into 2 blue horrors once they are dead. And well, blue horrors pretty much suck in terms of operative quality, but they still have APL. And now that the critical ops have pretty much these missions of loot, secure, and capture, which are all centered around having APL on a particular point of the map, blue horrors can do very devastating things, and they basically, double up the number of APL you have on one particular objective or point. And so, for example, if you have your icon bearer somewhere and they kill it with a 2 APL guy, you still can split and have 4 APL now, and they can still take that point, and it will still remain yours. And you can do nasty things with them because blue horrors are GA2 operatives. So in one of the matches in Worlds, I was able to pull this loot charge loot a move on my enemy, and yeah, that helps to secure a lot of the primary lead. So in all, you really want to have horrors, kind of like most of the time, and you also would like to have demonettes for that virtual 3 APL, and you bring bloodletters when you need that extra punch, because, for example, commandos. Against commandos, they have 10 wounds, and most of the time they're going to be hitting 4/5 on their melee. So if you bring a demonette versus them, demonette's most likely gone. But if you bring a bloodletter, you can get really lucky with a crit, which isn't that hard with little 5. So you push 4 and 6, and if he doesn't have just scratch up, he's gone. And you can trade effectively versus them, versus valuable Ravagers, which have fallen into disuse as of late, and perhaps even against Hand of the Archon, Ducati, which have 8 plus their virtual wounds with feel no pain, so you can trade effectively against them. And yeah, I think that's the most competitive version of demons you can have.
Yeah, so like, was there anything there with the plague bearers at all? Like, is there any kind of a case that you would bring them, or that's mostly just kind of for fun?
I think if I had an unlimited roster, I will perhaps bring them against Chaos Cult, where the feel no pain is really valuable. But again, in this metagame of loot, secure, and capture on the maps we have, the movement penalty of the plague bearers is too much. It's advancing slow is really taxing, and the difference between being able to have 10 movement plus still having APL take on a point to loot or do something versus just moving 7 or 8 is harsh. And I think that again, if I had an open roster and be able to bring any fire team, I would consider them for more tanky matchups. But in this 20-man roster, I definitely opt to leave them out.
Yeah, I think Adrian, when he was playing against Orion at Salt City, he ran into like a brick of plague bearers, and as commandos, the brick of plague bearers is rough, right? Because you have the injury bubble, and they're 4 attacks on 3s, 4/6, which is not great, but on the off chance you get a crit, it's bad. And then because they have the feel no pain, it's actually very hard for an average commando boy to actually fight 1-on-1 with a plague bearer. But obviously, you are stuck on the roster restriction, because with only 20 operatives, you get your horrors, which you have to take. I think you and Orion both take them, and then you get to basically take 2 out of the 3 melee choices, and you basically have to pick your matchups before you go to a tournament.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I mean, it is cool to hear that the Demonettes were performing pretty well. I could see them being really good against all of the Horde teams, because with 12 operatives, you can make yourself their problem instantaneously. And mano a mano, there's not a single vet guard that's ever going to touch a Demonette and live.
Yes, of course.
All right. I mean, what about the some of the crazy equipment? Because I know that the equipment roster on Chaos Daemons is pretty deep, because there's effectively 2 equipment per operative type, and there's basically 8 equipment, and they all get spread around. So you take Demonettes and you take Pink Horrors, and you mentioned that you can go to 4/5 on shooting with the Horrors. What are the other options like? Do you like any of them, or do you just kit out your primary damage dealers with their equipment of choice every time?
Yeah, I think that going with Trinket of Flux, the 4/5 on the Horrors, is your best bet most of the time. And the others are more situational. Like first there's the blood leather equipment that allows them to shoot at AP1, 4/5 also, but on 4+. And that's very simple, because it can hit and it can miss, and you have no rerolls. So I usually really don't like to gamble that much, and will prefer to leave my blood leathers focused on melee and have my backline of horrors shooting with ceaseless, which is, I think, very, very, very cool. The other equipment is the added melee for the horrors, which I usually don't take, because even if they die, usually split, and it's okay for me if they die. And so it leaves you with other options, which are the one with the stun on Demonettes and the one with added critical damage plus rending. The critical damage plus rending, Piercing Claw, I take versus Nurgle Legionaries. That's the most effective use case of that equipment, because they only reduce damage from your normal hits. They cannot reduce damage from your critical hits. So if you go with Demonettes against any random Legionary, you can roll your dice. If you get a crit, you get exactly 12 damage to kill them on a single combat. So you have one lowly Demonette, the lowest scum of SLNA, and taking on a heart, a veteran of 1,000, a Space Marine. and it's actually very good versus them. And well, the stun is, I think, also a good choice versus both Gellerbox and Chaos Cult. Kind of like what happened to me was that, for example, when you play against Gellerbox, they can actually tax your equipment, right? So you declare that I want to use all my Trinket of Flux, and they say, nope, you can only have one of that. And they say, okay, I'll go with only one, but take instead three stun demonettes. And it's actually, helped me really well. But because if you can land a stun on one of the Hulks, then they are not going to be much useful for the next turn. And with the move and dash and shoot, you are shooting at 16 inches away from your deployment. So that's pretty much enough to cover most of the map.
Nice. Yeah. So it's just for any listeners who don't know what the Demonettes have, they have 4 attacks on 3s, 4/5 relentless, and their equipment Piercing Claws lets you upgrade to 4 attacks on 3s, 4/6 relentless rending, which is why Sawyer is using it against Nurgle Legionary, because if you high roll and you go in and you get 3 crits, you're guaranteed to win that fight against a non-leader Legionary.
Yeah.
How about you, Julio? Do you have anything to say? Having faced Sawyer on the other side as probably a whole spread of teams.
Well, the part he says that Demonet can solo a Marine is true. His Demonets kill in one fight my Phobos. I also play Phobos. Yeah,
He plays
that's
all
why.
sorts of Marines. Yeah.
Yeah, I love playing Marines. Nargel. I play Legionnaires, Death Guard, Intercessors, Phobos. Yes, I'm waiting for the new box, for the 2 new boxes, really, Salvation and the Night Lords. So more Marines.
Yeah,
please bring me more.
Oh, don't worry. We'll get to the Marines in a little bit, Julio. You'll have your time in the sun. Don't worry.
No, it's okay. It's
Whole
okay.
section
But,
about it.
no, no. But about Sawyr, I faced him twice, 3 times, and his demons are brute force. They are a horde, but they strike like an
elite team. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, 4, 5. He have 5 gunners and 1 gunner leader, because the incident can shoot on 2, right?
Yeah,
The
yeah.
leader. Oh, it's too strong. That's why he's one of the best in Peru. He's a hard to fight like an elite. Yeah.
Coming from as a player who plays with 12 activations, being able to wait out your opponent's activations is very useful. And because demons are a 12 activation team, you do get a lot of play on the 10. Like anything under 10, you get a lot of room to, like, on turn 1, really push your opponent into awkward positions, which is always good.
Yes,
it is.
It's the best part of playing them. You can outnumber your opponents strategically. So yeah, it's strong. So if you guys want to play like Sawyr, stop using 12 corn guys, please.
I'm sure this will end up with someone in the New York region playing Bloodletters and Horrors very soon.
Once I play with demons, just once. I use in TTS. I use Bloodletters and Pink Horrors. Yes, and I didn't use the 4/5 damage. I used the 3 fire schools.
The Scorched Skulls. Yeah, the Bloodletters range option, which is basically
it
a crack grenade that hits on 4s.
Yeah, it was funny, but his strategy is better.
So you guys have been...
If you have a gunner that shoots, even with no AP, he's shooting on 4/5. If your opponent whiffs on even 1 dice, a legionary whiffs on 1 dice, he's taking 8 damage from a single shooting, and that's rough. Leaves him on melee range.
It does sound like the team is very, very CP hungry then, right? Because you're like turning on ploys pretty regularly throughout the course of the game.
Yes, that's, I think, another plus for the Demonettes versus Bloodletters. Bloodletters have this ploy that's one damage dice, and I think that they need 5 dice to work because they don't have any reroll built in. However, Demonettes have relentless, so they have good, they have the best reroll in the game. And if you all go with Demonettes and Pinks, you can save up CP to split twice in a game. And that's one of the best things you can. I even split 3 times in a game. versus a Custodes player, and that managed to give me the win.
Oh, yes. That sounds like a good one, yeah. Split being able to turn your 2 APL model into 4 APL worth of models is very powerful, especially if your opponents are hitting you already and you're like, all right, cool. I'm just going to finish your activation and we'll double the APL on this spot.
Yeah.
And you can do it multiple times, basically, right? Like or like over multiple turns. You can't do it, obviously, twice on the same turn. But if your opponent kills you down to a blue, then the next turn you can be killed down into brimstones.
Yeah, you can go for a brimstone or go for another, pink the dice, get more blues, and block the board with more.
So you've been terrorizing Peru with Chaos Daemons, and Julio, you've been playing all sorts of Marine, it sounds like. Where do you guys play in Peru? You said most people play in Lima. Is it everyone plays in Lima and there's no other like real region that you guys have found, or is it mostly just in Lima?
I
would say,
the place in Lima.
Mm-hmm.
We
play in a store called Reinos Olvidados, which is Spanish for Forgotten Kingdoms, and shout out to Daniel, who is the local store owner. Because I think the guy who's most active promoting Killteam in the city.
Yes, we have playing in other stores, but I don't know, just casually. They are not Warhammer focused, because this store, he's like a partner from Games Workshop. He's one of the official Peruvian stores who can sell original stuff. So that's good.
And do you guys organize on the store Discord or WhatsApp? Or I know, obviously Discord is pretty popular in America, but obviously other regions don't use Discord. Maybe we've seen Poland, they still use Facebook a lot. What kind of communication method does Peru use?
WhatsApp is the most, the most app for chats and conversation is WhatsApp. So we use WhatsApp a lot for the community forum. Okay, we use secondary is Discord, right? Because of the leaks. Sawyr organize leaks every season. Summer, spring, winter. We didn't have winter, but it was called.
It was the false winter league, because it was
the false winter league. Yeah.
And like besides the tournaments, do you have like open play nights where you like show up regularly, just like weekly, anything like that?
Yeah, on Wednesdays. I think that people gather in this store, and I think that's the starting step for many people in the community. I think a lot of rookies actually show up and get to play with seasoned players, and they build them the ropes so they can get and start playing.
Almost, I know the people who gathers at Wednesday are like 12 or 16, so it's like a small tournament day. So yes, it's good. We have a nice quorum. So then people play also on other teams plays at home. So I don't know how to call that. We call it magic kitchen
table. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like that.
Kitchen table.
Oh yeah, you need to have a very big kitchen for your kill team.
Yeah, kill team
to fit. Yeah.
And you guys were mentioning, I think, Sawyer, you showed me the Latin America ITC like subsection, because someone made a website that parses all the Latin America players. And I see on the ladder there's about like 40-ish players. Are there other players who haven't come to tournaments that are like getting ready to play in tournaments?
Yeah, actually, I think one of the best players in Peru is called Dekra on Discord. He is actually a regular on some online tournaments, but doesn't have a printed team. Doesn't have a team, and he actually goes and kick ass with Corsairs. I think he's one of the best Corsair players in I'd say the world. But he doesn't have a team yet, and that actually happens. He's not on the ladder so far.
So he's like an online only warrior at the moment, huh?
Yeah.
Yes. he asked if we can, borrow him a kill team, and we all, of course, we say yes. But I believe he's already, I don't know which career he's studying, but I don't know, he couldn't make it on the store. But
Yeah, I think he's finishing his studies. Yeah.
The problem are the studies.
And do you guys play on mostly open, or do you use a mix of everything? I know locally in New York we use a mix of all sorts of terrain, but World Championships was just Octarius. I'm curious what Peru is like.
Spoiler: we don't have that much of Octarius.
Yeah, I think we have mostly Chalmat in terms of open boards, but we do play mixed. But I think due to the nature of Into the Dark boards, which are rather easy to do, stuff in a box and carry home, I think we currently have more Into the Dark boards than open boards available in the local community. And I think that actually gave us an edge on the tournament because I kind of felt that our knowledge of of close quarters environments were higher than the average in the tournament, I think.
Yeah, and the World Championships, we was 2 days of Octarius and then 3 days of In the Dark for group stages. So I'm sure that experience was useful there.
Yeah, it did.
Yeah, it helps a lot.
How about other hometown heroes? Obviously you two are here. Sounds like there's other TOs in Peru. You want to call them out by name, maybe?
Well, first off, I think that the player that actually won the qualifier tournament was called Sebastián Núñez. He plays, I think, out of the Peruvian players, he's the one that plays the most competitive focused teams. He has been playing Gatherbox, Commandos, Talgo Ravagers before the nerf, and even Hand of the Archon. And he actually won the event in first place with Gatherbox. He's our top ranking Gatherbox player. And he's really solid and consistently winning tournaments also here. And he wasn't able to make it due to, I think, not able to secure vacations for the tournament. But he's one of the stronger players. And also a shout out to both Antonio Sanders, Tonio, who plays regularly also online and faces off with very strong Spanish players, and Wilder, who's also a very strong commando player, who won the most points for us on the World Tournament in Command Point. And he was our carrier.
He was the only one. He was the only one who won, really.
It's brutal on the world stage, huh?
Yeah, it is.
Yes, but in the that's not the players, but in the part of the TOs, Javier said talk about one. Sebastián Núñez is one of the most ranked players in Peru, and also one of the most important TOs in Peru, because him and his team organized the Golden Ticket qualifier for Atlanta.
Okay, that's the Kills Angela Open 2023.
Kills Angela Open, of course. Yes, nice. He's from the Rosangela Squadron because the name is because they used to play X-Wing, so that's why they are called Squadron. And the other important TO in Peru is the Ojoile and the Warhammers. I don't know how to pronounce it well, but them. Because they help us a lot in organize the tournaments. Most of the tournaments in Peru.
Nice. Yeah, it sounds like a big group effort, which is always fun.
Yes, because of the terrains. The more important thing is because of the terrains. We, in the team, we only have 4 terrains. We're 6 or between 4 and 6 terrains. And we are 8 people on the team in the Give Me a 6 team. So one of the things who plays against us is the terrain, really, because we are lack of maps for tournaments. So everyone have to support each other to carry on this amazing hobby.
Yeah, it looks like Kills Angela Open had 28 players sign up. So definitely, 14 boards of terrain is not easy.
No. And in that tournament we have Octarius. Sorry. You were going to tell.
No, go.
Okay.
You
I was-
continue.
Okay. we have Nakmun, of course, Shalnat is a fan favorite, HOD, and a few Octarius. But in my case, I didn't play in any of Octarius. I only got ETD and Shalnat.
Yeah, Chownath is definitely one of the weird ones because it plays probably a little bit closer to Into the Dark as far as how safe you are compared to a lot of the open maps. Nakmund especially feels very unsafe compared to all the other open boards that they've produced. And then Morok sits in this weird gray zone of it just plays weird because it has this huge piece of terrain that just interacts with all the rules very weirdly.
Yeah.
And with like Chelnath, there's all sorts of ways to abuse the ignore obscuring. I'm curious if you see any of that coming up.
Actually, yeah, especially Phobos. Phobos gets very, very strong with their marksman ignoring obscurity on many, occasions.
And the new Justian team.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, true. Flavian ignores obscurity while standing still, right?
Yes, Flavian.
Yeah. And I was actually going to say, on that note, you can take an Auspex on Intercessors, which is a pretty strong combo for Intercessors on Chelnath. And then using that to segue into the niche tactics category.
Niche tactics.
In niche tactics today, we are going to be talking about intercession, deep diving some of the tactics, cool plays, combos like chapter tactics that you use, the wave tops of which operatives to take in what matchups.
And Julio, you're the man of the hour because on day one you went 3-2 and you almost had it. You kept it competitive with Ace, so you were very close to being able to at least compete for that group. And your group was a rough group. It had a Ryan on Gellerpox, and it had Ace. Obviously, was a big one.
Yes.
And then obviously the winner of the tournament came out of your group. So you were in a vicious group and you ended with a 3-2 record. So that's hats off to you. So tell us a little bit about what you're doing differently on Intercession Squad compared to your contemporaries.
Thank you very much for that. Yeah, there were difficult matchups, but something that helped me, I spoiled some things before, is the way you can play intercessors that have been working for me so far. Is like the L form, or I don't know how to say it. Is the L form, or in some cases maybe a T, but my way to fight. But I use small DR for the L form more frequently because I use a team. I use the intercession squad most likely if there were like SWAT team. I like the way the military or the SWAT teams come to. I don't know how to say it. When you saw videos when a SWAT team goes through a door and the people is next to each other, covering their shoulders. I play intercession that way because intercession is not in the. I'm going to say something. Maybe Sawyr is going to laugh. Intercession is not that strong that as the people believe it is. Yeah. Because they have 14 boons, they fight well, but they don't shine in that many situations because they are very flat. They only have bolters and chainsaws. They are effective, but they don't have a specialist. So one of the things, one of the most used combos for me is rapid, especially rapid. I always use rapid. I can change durable. I change the second between durable and methodical, depending on the meta of the tournament. But I always use rapid because you can perform a very nice combo. I know it's the only alpha strike I have to say it. It's work almost 99 of the times. It's the Grenadier with Recon, the scouting phase Recon, and the move dash and throwing a grenade and try to blow up I don't know.
Try to catch a corner, basically.
Yes, try to blow a few horde I don't know, bed guards, I don't know, operative, key operative, and try to kill especially the orcs who try to abuse of the sneaky kid. So it worked for me against Dawson. I lost the match, but I stopped the
big
I don't know,
alpha strike. The
yeah,
big triple
alpha
sneaky
strike.
get alpha strike. You're able to have your assault grenadier with a crack grenade come up with a free roll and just chuck it and blow up an orc hiding in cover,
Yes.
right?
Yes,
Yeah, that's always
it.
that's always a solid one. So it sounds like you take rapid and durable, which gives you a pretty solid fire base. What kind of split as far as intercession types do you go? Do you go a 3-3 split on ranged and melee? Do you take more melee operatives, or
No, I'm starting to use more the 3-3 strategic. 3 assaults, of course, 1 with a grenadier, 2 regular assault warriors, and 1 intercessor warrior, 1 leader with intercessor sergeant with bolt rifle and power weapon, and the gunner. I believe right now is the most efficient way to play intercessors, because the leader can shoot twice and also can fight very well in melee. And the plasma guy is the plasma sergeant is very good, but I only use it in I don't know how to say, maybe in Shalnat or ETD, because the Volter discipline is very abusive in open terrain. So have 3 guys who can choose twice can obliterate almost everything. So it helps a lot to mitigate the failures of the team in the way of speaking of specialists. It helps a lot.
All right. So you went 3-2 on the first day, narrowly losing, I think, to Ace, right?
Yeah. No, in Orion and Dawson.
Okay, Orion and Dawson in the first run.
Yes.
And then your run against Ace was on the world bracket on Saturday, Sunday?
Yes, on Saturday. Yes.
Okay. Cool.
Yes.
I think on the first day, you and Shane were tied as like the best elite players of the whole tournament.
Yeah.
I think Mark was also doing pretty well, but I believe that Shane and you had the highest world. That might be a little bit wrong. Mark might have also been.
No, yes, Shane won me because he won 5, I believe. I only won 4 at the
Correct.
end.
You went 4-4, but you were the best intercession player. I think Shane was obviously the best legionary player.
Legionary, yes. And elite player.
I just don't want to gaslight myself. Let me see. Where is?
I believe Shane ended up 5.
Okay, yeah. So
1, right?
I think you and Shane were the best running win rates. Both of you had 3 wins. Obviously, you had 2 losses. Shane had 1 tie. What do you think that you are doing differently compared to the other intercession players that you saw, like in terms of strategy? You said that you're doing things in a T or an L, basically setting up your operatives. Are you like putting more operatives on one side of the board and making that a strong part of your board? Or are you doing the thing that most elite players do where they split up all the way across the deployment zone?
Yeah, the first one.
Okay, so you've got a bigger pile of Marines, so that way you're giving up a little bit of map control. But what you're saying is that if you come to my side of the map, I will destroy you.
Yes, I use that strategy almost in every match because it's a good way to reduce the EPL. Not the EPL, the activations you have. Because you have 3 APLs, dude, 6 guys with 3 APLs, but you only have 6 activations. So you are in the disadvantage against a player like Sawyr, who have 12 activations, of course. So you have to mitigate that damage. So you have to push I always recommend, if you are playing Intercessors, try to be the defender, because you will have. Of course, not in ETD.
Not but in
almost every other map, try to be the defender, because the map is going to be your friend in almost every game, because you have to reduce the number of activations who can be a threat to your intercessors. You have 14 boons, but against a team who have 2 plasmas, 1 melta, 1 gunner. That's not so high, believe me, guys. The intercessors can die very easily. So protect your assets. So take a strong point in the map and defend it. One intercessor can be a menace. So you can leave one intercessor in the far point just to contest a far objective, because you don't have to take that much points as elite players. Your goal is to deny the points of your enemy, because his goal is they are going to say it more simple. With elite teams, you are playing Kill Team. The hordes are not playing Kill Team. They are playing point team. I don't know how to say it, score team.
They're playing score team.
Score team.
Yeah. If you make it to turn, you're just trying to get to turn 3 and 4 with as many operatives as possible, because then you can split out. And as long as you've chipped down some enemy operatives, then you can play. All right, you've got 10 models. I've got 5 guys left. If each guy gets 2 dudes, I win the game. And the first time that your opponent misses a shot, the game is basically over. So I could definitely see the idea of like you have one dude on the far side, 5 guys on a strong corner, and that way as you slowly approach they can cover for each other. I think that's actually a pretty nice way of dealing with some of the problems. I think on In the Dark specifically, there's this map that all the elite players complain about, Conduit, the very first In the Dark map, the one with 4 rooms all the way across. And I definitely saw a player, I think one of the guys from the UK, he was like, this map is impossible for elites. And Shane, I think, might have even said that. But I think if you threaten one corner so your opponent has to respect it, and you swing out really hard on the other side, you can at least try to overwhelm the side and have the operative advantage compared to where everyone else plays, where you're like, I got 1 dude in each room. And the first time you lose 1 dude, the game is over, basically.
Yes, and exactly in that map, the L form strategy works very well, because you can leave just 1 intercessor. Depending on the team, it can be the warrior or the soul guy, protecting 2 rooms, just holding them back, and the other 5 guys winning your natural 3, and then on the if you're lucky on a turn 2 or 3, you will be already on the other guy's drop zone. So you have 4 against 2 points objectives, or you're winning. And if he wants to come back and fight you, that's the moment when the intercessor shine. You cannot fight on brute force an intercessor. So you have to force that. Yeah,
I think it's actually a really good strategic tip for people who may be struggling with elites, because I know that at the World Championships, I think elites overall way underperform the average performance of what elites look like in the general population. Because I think elites in general were like almost 20% worse than they would be in the normal community. But you and Shane both did about a little bit. I think Shane was a little bit over average. He won more games than he lost, and you were right at 50-50. And I think just having a strong side, playing a little bit more defensively rather than aggressively, it sounds like that was paying dividends for both of you. So tips for anyone still struggling with elites or wanting to hop into elites right now. Not quite the fun fantasy that everyone started with at the very beginning of Kill Team, where you just like come out and blast everyone away. But if you can make it to turn 3 and 4 and you've chipped off, a couple operatives and you haven't really taken that much damage, you can have that fantasy. It's just you gotta put the work in. It's not free anymore, right?
Yeah, it's not free.
Yeah. I'm curious if there's any like go-to equipment loadouts, like something that you generally do every time, or do you like switch it up often?
Yes. I like to, if it's open terrain, I like to use Blessed. The blessed bullets on my leader. That's why he hits on 2s and becomes my second gunner, basically. And in the lonely intercessor guy, intercessor warrior, the other guy with the ball rifle, I put him the lethal 5. I'm sorry, I mistold you. My leader almost on every matchup carries the blessed bullets and the lethal 5 scoop. So he becomes a kind of better gunner, because he have P1 on 5+, so it's good. And the other intercessor warrior have the lethal 5. And my gunner, I put him the last point and give him a knife. He can fight now. It's Rambo. That's my almost 90% of the matchups. If I play against a team who can if not obscure or can do a tricky thing, I change 4 points to carry an auspex, because at least in my meta, there are too many hordes. So the auspex against horde is not that good because he always unnumbers you in activations. So you have to laser tag one guy and the other ones. Okay, I'm gonna move that guy at the last. So okay, thank you. And you lose value in that. But against elite, the auspex become more value, because I use it against the other elite faction in my country who's strong is legionnaires, and works almost all the time because you force them to leave one guy behind or recover, so you have more assets to be a menace on the war. So that helps a lot.
When you do take an Auspex, who do you give it to?
One of the normal assault warriors, never the grenadier. Yeah, always the assaults, because I don't know how to say, you get more profit from the early 3 APLs, because normally the warriors just run, secure 1 point, and dash maybe, but my guys run 7 inches, so they don't need even dash. So I give them to the normal warrior assault warriors. Depends, one of both.
I've been playing around with the sergeant, also with the blessed bolts and the lethal 5, and then I also give him the Auspex, and then he'll just go like plant somewhere where there's like not a lot of threats that can get him, and I'll run a couple of assault warriors just out to dangle out in the open, because I'm like, if we all know you're going to kill one intercessor, I'm going to say kill this guy, and if you don't, he's going to run into your board and murder you. And then I position the sergeant so that he can just like counterpunch really hard, and then if he gets an overwatch, and then next turn he's in a spot where he can auspex and shoot someone, and then shoot someone that's out in the open, and then all of a sudden he's just like, the sergeant alone will kill 50% or more of the enemy's team.
I'm going to try that.
It's pretty fun.
It's a nice one. Yeah. It's a nice one. Like, yes.
Yeah, it means that you're not using the auspex early on, so that way you keep the threat all the way to the back. Might not, you probably just get the one shot, you got to run away the first turn, but every other turn after that, if you can set up a double shot, it might actually be good enough, right? So I'm sure you've seen the Doom Bolter just delete pretty much everything at this point.
Yes, I'm glad to hear that more intercessors are using the other sergeant, the bolt rifle sergeant, because here in my meta, almost everyone use the plasma guy, so it's good. But
hitting on threes is rough,
Yeah.
All for every legionary player that started with the Chosen and has finally upgraded to their aspiring champion. They all know, they're like, you know what, at the end of the day I'd rather hit on threes, just like all the orc players who went from their claws, and as you get more competitive it becomes a choppa because you just would prefer hitting on twos, because the first time you go to attacks and you hit on threes and you miss 2 dice, you're like, okay, I guess this operative's not going to do anything now. So
yes, and if an elite player miss a shot, you're losing too much. You have to kill. We're playing Kill Team in the elite teams.
Yeah, you got to kill first and then score all your points later on. So, I on that point, actually, when you were scoring your games and winning at the World Championships, what was the scoring cadence like over the course of the 4 turns? Were you going like 1 point or 2 points on turn 1, then 2 points, then 3 points, then 4 points on primary mission? Or did you take even more drastic splits of like 1 point to 3 points on turn 1 and then swing out really hard on turns 2 through 4?
Sorry, maybe I understand it wrong.
How did you score primary mission across your 4 turns at the World Championship?
Okay. I always try to start with 3. Always. After 3. I don't... If there's a chance to die 1 point, I deny it. But like in loot, I sometimes risk assault warrior at a 4 point to deny it just 1 point. Not to take it, because I know he's going to try to contest in a way or another, but I'm going to just to reach it. But my usually plays are 3. Yes, don't lose, because if you as a lead player lose 1 point at the beginning, independent of a mission, it can be very hard because horde players have many tricks to take one, I don't know how to tack up in the last game, in the last turn. So yeah, don't try to lose one point. Try to do not lose 1 point at the beginning. 3-3 is safe. It always works. You can risk a little more points on primaries because because I don't know if he's going to ask this later. My tack ups are almost always seek and destroy with intercessors. So
Because you need to make sure that you delete all of your opponent's scary threats against you.
yes, that's why.
Do you still take a seek and destroy against elites?
Depends on the map. Depending on the map. If this is a map when I can do a very strong turn 2, I will choose seek and destroy. If I have to go more conservative, I will use security to force them to move forward,
To come to you, basically
yes.
playing defensive line.
Yes.
Yeah, I like to always take Seek and Destroy as well. I've been doing the Champion of Humanity with my Auspex Doombolter Sergeant, and since he's already killing half the team anyways, it's just an easy free 2 points.
I'm really going to try that. It sounds very much fun. It sounds much fun.
It sounds like if you guys are playing a lot on Chalnath, it'll definitely probably work.
Yeah, and also with Into the Dark, it gets really gross with how much, like, so if someone guards a door, I mean, a lot of people know that's a mistake by now, you can just, like, Auspex scan them and just nuke them.
Yes, because he always uses the corner to cover, right? But yeah, he's going to die. That's a nice trick. I have a fun question. How is your record on Champion of Mankind? With Champion of Mankind, sorry. Your killing record with Champion.
So with the Champion of Mankind, I've gotten it in like pretty much every game, win or lose. I played a game against Hearthkin, and I killed my sergeant alone. Killed 7 out of the 10 dwarves, and I still lost that game. But he got Champion of Mankind.
7?
7. That's insane.
Doom guy and the 7 dwarves.
My top is just 4. We're going to try yesterday. I went to kill 7 dwarves, so yeah.
Yeah, and then he killed like 4 of them in the last turn, where he double shoots and kills one. He had an Overwatch that killed another one, and then they killed him, and he shoots on death and kills another one.
Whoa! Yeah, I'm going to try it.
Yeah, the real last action hero out here.
Yeah, you have like a ramble. Yeah,
yep.
Your team. Nice.
Great.
Yeah,
I think that's pretty much Let's we covered strategy. We covered your small niche tactic of chucking a grenade as fast as possible against hordes. Yeah. Talked a little bit about your tac op selections and how your plan to score. It's quite a bit as far as intercession goes.
I don't know, maybe it's a little strange. I use sometime in my Seek and Destroy. I like to take Executioner sometimes. It's strange because you can lose a point, but it helps because if you lose the initiative, sometimes you can mark a guy and say, okay, I'm going to kill that guy.
So it gives you a little bit more room to interact with your opponent on a bad initiative roll, is what you're saying.
Yes.
So is this mostly for like a horde matchup thing when there's something like a veteran guard with a demo man who doesn't want to come up now because your backline guy can shoot that demo man for a point, and it gives you like both eliminate guards and eliminate targets basically so it's like you can force your opponent to actually run away from you, which gives you a little bit more control over what the horde player is doing.
Yes, that's exactly the idea, to force them to take decisions, because
I think Jason's been running assassinate target for the last I don't know how long at this point.
That's one of my other ones,
with the same idea, I think, where he's like, I will mark your demo man. You either give me the point or run him away from me the rest of the game.
But now with the opponent choosing, instead, it's basically so I run 4 dudes with chain swords. I've got the gunner, and then I have the Doom Bolter Sergeant with the Auspex, and then I just have the 4 guys unengaged just sprint down the map. and then I've got like the gunner running up the flank, and then he tries to like get into the enemy deployment zone on turn 2 and put like a frag or a crack somewhere it doesn't belong. And then the Doom guy is just like auspex scanning, picking off targets, or like getting an angle on just one target and killing him where no one can hit him back. And then he just tries to creep, and like by the end of the game, I've got like everyone in the enemy board half. No one scored any points, and I win by like 1.
Yeah, sounds pretty much good. But you won. The important part is you won.
Sometimes, yeah. I'm probably like 50-50.
It's funny. It's fun. It sounds like fun strategy. Really, I'm going to try it.
It's a really fun way to play.
Yeah, I mean, I think that about touches everything that we were planning to get to, you know? Peruvian kill team scene sounds like it's going strong. You guys are only a year in. You guys have 40 people. Hopefully you guys can push a couple more, and next year Peru will come out even stronger. You got to beat Wales.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's our goal for
the listeners don't know this, but at the end of the World Championships, there's like a scoring metric, and I think Wales, which was just can you roll a crit, managed to tie against the Peruvian team because it takes the top 5 scorers, I believe.
Yes. We're on a tie, right?
Yeah, I think it was both of you. I think Wales and Peru were tied for 8th place out of 10 teams. And John was just, can you roll a crit, was just like, I did it! I tied a whole country! And I think Colombia was also there, so he beat Colombia, because Colombia was 10th, if I remember correctly.
No, Argentina.
I'm brainwashing myself.
Yes, Colombia was
7th?
there, but it was a tricky game there because the Colombian guy was representing Mexico.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but
yeah.
He was.
But I think next year, you just got to beat Wales. It's just one man.
Yes, one man army and juries. Maybe next year, I don't know, exploring some things, we want to take more people, not just in Kill Team, Underworlds and 40k. So
yeah. I mean, expand the group. Come in with a strong Peruvian, jersey and try to win Team Spirit too.
Yeah. Like I believe were the Spanish and the England guys.
I think France had probably the coolest one. As far as their jerseys went. And, talking about making sure that we have sponsors, we still have our sponsor, Lester's Workshop. Links will be obviously down in the description. And we'll try to have the Ranking Latin America link. So anyone who's curious about what Latin America is doing, there will be a link in the show notes. You can see Sawyer running around with Chaos Daemons and the Gellerpox player, who's the top of Peru in first place, I think, right now. So we'll see how.
Right now.
Mm-hmm.
For now.
Yes, for now. Sawyer's back. He's ready. He's ready to beat the Gellerpox.
Yeah.
When's your guys' next tournament? Just in case anyone has a chance to go to Peru, or anyone in Peru is listening to this randomly and hasn't heard of it. When's the next tournament?
To audio, Javier. To audio.
Oh, my bad. Sorry, I had myself muted. No, it will begin It is scheduled for the 10th of December. That's the regular one, and there's going to also be a compendium one upcoming soon.
Cool. So it'll be the end of this week, basically, when this podcast comes out, and then a little bit in the future for the next compendium tournament. Hopefully, we'll see some new compendium teams rise to the top.
Hopefully, yeah.
Final thing on my end, obviously I've mentioned this a couple times on the podcast, and I will have details by the time this podcast comes out that I will try to get onto the show notes, or at the very least it'll be up on the Goonhammer article that comes with it. But I will be helping to run the UTC finals on January 13th, 14th with the help of Goonhammer, which is the alternate circuit scoring system, because ITC has plenty of flaws that we would like to address, and that's why the UTC exists. Mm-hmm.
We can have another podcast talking about just that.
Yes, the ITC is a metric, and it is not the only metric. So hopefully, Kill Team will be starting off its UTC season, I think, January 13th, 14th, and I'll add a link to all of the stuff on Just Another Kill Team podcast when I have details. But that's kind of the last thing. Any last words, Julio and Sawyer, before we head out for the night?
No, thank you for having us. And I hope this is not the last time we're here in the podcast.
Yeah. Thank you. We're very grateful here. If I say something in Spanish, for the people who are hearing this in English, es, bueno, anímense a jugar, es una experiencia muy buena, así que bienvenidos al Kill Team y gracias por estar aquí. Thank you very much.
Pleasure is all ours. Thank you very much for coming on and talking in-depth compendium tactics. I'm sure that'll be well received. And also talking about a different way to play Intercession Squad. I think just having a different approach instead of just splitting everyone up seems like very solid ideas to like push forward the meta. So thanks for coming on, guys. It was a real pleasure meeting you guys in person at the World Championships too.
Yeah, that was the most important thing of the World Championship. Yeah. Meeting everyone. I hope the next year is going to be like, I don't know, Ace sets of allowed maybe 80 people or 80.
Yeah, you know, they have the top eight. Top eight already has tickets, and hopefully this coming year we'll give out a couple more golden tickets, silver tickets, and we'll get it a little bit bigger.